This time, it's personal. For once, there's a story that doesn't make that tagline sound ridiculous. Loch Ness Revenge, the 2016 novel by Hunter Shea. It is a vengeful tale of two siblings against creatures from the loch that are quite brazen, yet no one seems to have noticed them. The plot. Austin and Natalie are a pair of twins that lost their mother and father in gruesome fashion when they were kids by a creature in the loch. Now, 20 years later, Natalie has noticed the creatures have returned, and with a call upon for her brother and his German war buddy, Henrik, the trio go out to hunt the monsters that took the twins' parents away and made them crave revenge. I really enjoyed this adventure creature horror book, even though it has a body count of like 4 people. That didn't bother me at all. The characters are so enjoyable and likable to read that I wanted more of them by the time I turned to the final page in the book. Thankfully, there's a sequel that doesn't have sea creatures, but I'm still counting it in the Shark Week 5 Bloody Bites because of its connections with the first story. I have no qualms with Shea's writing. It's always spot on and really entertaining. I read The Montauk Monster a couple of reads ago, and thought the Carnage Candy, while a bit excessive, shined in all its gory glory. Figuring the same would apply to all of his books for some reason, I was taken aback by Loch Ness Revenge. One difference is that this is told in first person, namely from Natalie's perspective. It is very well done. You just have to be in the right mindset to read a book of this nature in that point of view. Another thing that is quite different between both books is that Loch Ness Revenge isn't nearly as savage as the Montauk Monster. I actually think that aspect really works well for this kind of story. We don't need tons of miscellaneous characters being eaten. While we do get a couple that is killed off, it isn't overly gory at all and does fit the context of the story. There is one thing I do have to admit, and that is the secrecy of these creatures kept and how it was hidden so well from everyone else. Sure, Austin and Natalie are firm believers, but so are so many others. Why don't they see Nessie as often as these two characters do? I mean, it's possible because Natalie baits them out of hiding with raw and or rotting cow meat, but apparently these creatures have been hiding for almost 100 years. I think more accurate sightings would be more commonplace. A perfect example of this topic is the character of Ra. He has surveillance cameras around his position 24/7 while he searches for the alleged beast. With that major problem I had with the story out of the way, let's get back to the pros. The fact that Natalie and Henrik don't end up together is kind of refreshing, actually. The trio are pretty much family by the end. Finishing this book was like finishing a superb and prolonged adventure. Even though the book runs at a brisk 141 pages, I still got my fill, yet wanted more. There's a lot to enjoy in this book. One aspect that could have been a bit stronger, though, was the gore, the visuals. While the book does have some violent attacks, the beginning where the parents die is probably the most savage scene in the book. The monsters get more bloodshed than anyone else does. I am not saying it's needed a bigger body count, but a bigger bloodbath would have sufficed. Scotland is a nice setting, and is described as cold yet warm. Everything from Natalie's RV to the loch itself feels cozy. Definitely give this book a read. It's a high-octane adventure with plenty of action and man versus monster fights to go around. While questionable plot holes and lack of gore do weigh it down a bit, there's still no denying the sheer thrill this book is to tear into and have a blast while reading The Revenge. Overall, I give Loch Ness Revenge a 4 out of 5. I am Brian Gatto, host of Forest Entertainment. Make sure to like my Facebook page in the description below, leave comments, and subscribe.